Are good things in store for Oppenheimer? The BAFTAs have announced their winners. Today we're going to talk about them. Let's do it. What's up, Flick fans? Welcome back to the channel. Every year we talk about the BAFTA nominations, then the BAFTA winners, the implications for the Oscars, and this year there are some massive implications for the Academy Awards. We're going to discuss these categories, the winners, and what it means. Do I really know the answer? Probably not. If you hear and you like these videos, let me know down below, and drop a thumbs up if you'd like to see an Oscar predictions video from me over the next 7 to 10 days, because that's something I'd like to work on if you want to see it. And let's start with these categories. We're going to go over all the winners, but really focus on, you know, the crazy stuff. The Rising Star Award. This one kind of surprised me. Mia McKenna-Bruce over Phoebe Dynevor, Ayo Edebiri, Jacob Elordi. So apparently I need to see How You Have Sex. The movie, not the, you know. Okay, and here's where the chaos begins. Special effects. Poor Things was not nominated for an Oscar. Now, if I were a betting man, I would have bet on Napoleon or The Creator to win this award, specifically Napoleon, because it's the British Film Awards. I thought Napoleon would do a really good job here. And okay, if it wins here, it's got a great shot at the Oscars because it's the most Oscar-like movie. Nope, didn't win. Poor Things won. And so that, for me, descends this category into absolute chaos because this is usually a pretty telling sign of what could win at the Oscars. Here's what I think this means. Movies like The Creator and Napoleon and Guardians of the Galaxy, they're all nominated for the Oscar, but so is Godzilla. And Godzilla is a film that right now a lot of people are talking about. They were excited when it got that nomination. And because there is no clear front runner, that for me says instead of looking at the most Oscar baity type movie in Napoleon, now we can look at the movie that has a lot of momentum at the moment. Godzilla has a pretty good amount of momentum right now, just talking word of mouth. So I'm going to say this was good for Godzilla, but it doesn't really mean anything because, again, Poor Things didn't get the Oscar nomination. But congratulations, it won the BAFTA. The next category we're talking about is another surprise in a way, and I've been saying for a long time, The Zone of Interest has impeccable sound design, phenomenal across the board. The Zone of Interest was also a film that the BAFTAs seemed to like when it came nomination day. So it winning over Oppenheimer, it's not the most shocking thing I've ever seen, but it's still kind of shocking. And it tells me that this is a little more of a competition now for the Oscars than it was prior to Zone of Interest winning today. The Zone of Interest, folks, this film is surging unlike most others. There's one movie that's surging a bit more so. But watch out, because there are some categories with the Academy Awards that I think this could sneak up on and win. This is one of them. Hair and makeup, another one. It was kind of up in the air. Poor Things winning. Again, we're not totally shocked that Poor Things is doing super well at the BAFTAs, but it is telling that it wins over movies like Killers of the Flower Moon and Maestro. Now, there are different nominees for the Academy Awards, but it's always going to work in a movie's favor when it wins a big precursor like this. And then you go to costume design, very similar here. But here's something that I'm looking at here to where I can make that Oscar comparison, winning over a movie like Barbie. Now, I'll fully admit, the BAFTAs didn't love Barbie with this nomination, so it's not shocking that it didn't win this award here. But, again, anytime Poor Things beats Barbie in a category like costume design, it's notable. Now, that's not me saying it's a lock when it comes to the Academy Awards. I think they're definitely going to like Barbie a lot more, to be honest with you. But it also won over movies like Oppenheimer and Killers of the Flower Moon. So we're going to have to start taking Poor Things a little more seriously when it comes to these types of wins. I don't think it's going to get much beyond that. Well, Emma Stone, we'll talk about that. Poor Things, production design, Barbie, Killers of the Flower Moon, Oppenheimer. Is it going to do this well at the Oscars? I don't think so. I feel like Oppenheimer could win a couple of these. I feel like Killers of the Flower Moon may get one or two at this point. It's not looking good. Killers of the Flower Moon at this point has kind of crashed and burned. Not quality of the movie, but just in terms of Oscar wins. I mean, what's that going to win? Well, I don't know. I mean, it had Lily Gladstone going for it, but now that's dying down. So is Killers going to be Irishman and not win anything? Editing. All right, this one's pretty good. This was pretty telling because Poor Things was nominated in editing, and it it can't possibly love the film that much. Yeah, Oppenheimer, for me, it's been not a lock for editing since day one, but because it's a front runner for Best Picture and because editing kind of goes hand in hand with the Oscars, yeah, it makes a lot of sense it's going to win the BAFTA for Best Editing. And if you ask me my opinion, yeah, it's one of the best edited movies of the year. Again, cinematography. This one has been etched in stone for the longest time, it feels. Huitema continues to win. I love seeing Academy Award next to his name, or just picturing it, because we haven't seen it yet, but continues to win all of these awards. The BAFTA, yet again. What's the biggest competition for Oppenheimer at this point? The ceremony not happening? The Holdovers wins casting. Now, obviously there's not an Oscar for casting yet. They're working on it. We're going to get one here in a couple of years. But that's kind of telling. One, it's telling because The Holdovers, if it wins anything at this point at the Oscars, it looks like it's going to be Da'Vine Joy Randolph and maybe Paul Giamatti. But it's telling also because this movie at this point with the awards is going to show up with the casting wins. The main two, obviously. And I don't know if it's going to get a lot beyond that because screenplays, not locked, looking a lot more clear now. Best Picture, I had it in second place behind Oppenheimer, but at this point, it doesn't really look like it has a big opportunity to win Best Picture. Now, it could sneak up with the Academy Awards, more so that it has these other ceremonies, but again, I like seeing it win here because it's a beautifully and perfectly cast film. Part of me's kind of surprised Anatomy of a Fall didn't win it. I thought that would do a lot better here. Score! Oppenheimer! Surprise! Come on. Next. Actually, not next. I do love seeing Spider-Verse get love here. Didn't get love at the Oscars, because why again? I don't know. Stupidity. But it got love here. It's nice to see. Next up is what we like to call in the industry the Da'Vine Joy Randolph Award. She has won, well, she was on a streak, and then I think she lost one more recently, but almost every award there is to give Da'Vine Joy Randolph. So, yeah. She's going to win it. Is this a weaker category than years past? I think so. You know, I love Emily Blunt. I love Danielle Brooks was great, Sandra Hüller. But really, if you look at potential winners, it's one name, and she's going to win it. And here's one that was, kind of up in the air for a while. Dominic Sessa being on here, amazing. Didn't get the Oscar nomination. I get it. But there has always been this Gosling versus RDJ narrative until they started to announce the winners of all of the awards, and RDJ just keeps winning, and it's not slowing down. It will not slow down for the Oscars. He's not Da'Vine Joy Randolph, complete lock, throw away the key, it's happening status, but he's almost there. We've locked the door. We haven't thrown away the key yet, but we're basically setting it in stone that Robert Downey Jr. is going to win an Oscar, and what a cool narrative. What a deserving narrative. I can't wait to see it. He got the BAFTA. That's amazing. The guy deserves this. I've been wanting him to... I could talk about this for days. Here's one that is still, in my humble opinion, a competition, but it's less of a competition now. And that's because Cillian Murphy has continued to ramp up to where we are right now and take the lead ahead of Paul Giamatti. And I believe it helps that Oppenheimer is just so head and shoulders above everything else in terms of winning these awards across the board. But Cillian, along for the ride, deservedly so. I keep saying it, my favorite two performances of the year are the two that are, in first place and second place here. But it does feel like Cillian Murphy is in first place at this point. And honestly, whoever would have won this, I would have had ahead of the other. So if Paul would have won, you got Best Casting, you got Da'Vine Joy Randolph, I would have said Paul Giamatti's just ever so slightly ahead. But it's Cillian, it's Oppenheimer. Am I mad about it? Oh, God, no. Cillian Murphy's revolutionary in this film. So I'm not saying, I'm just saying. Here we go. This was still a competition, although within the BAFTA, it was a different competition because Lily Gladstone didn't get a nomination. It has been between Gladstone and Stone for quite some time. Emma Stone has taken the lead as of late, but I thought Sandra Hüller, because of that Anatomy of a Fall love, could take it over Emma Stone here. And if that's the case, that's a negative for Emma Stone when it comes to the Oscars. And that almost bumps Gladstone up just a little bit. Like, I know she didn't get the BAFTA nomination. She was snubbed. But if Stone doesn't win here, Hewler does. It gives Gladstone more of a shot. And it starts to slide Sandra Hewler into the conversation. All of that being said, it didn't go that way. Emma Stone won. And because Emma Stone won over Sandra Hewler, and Poor Things is getting the love that it's getting right now, yeah, it pretty much cements her status as at least being in first place right now. I'm not going to say it's over for Gladstone. It is kind of over for Hewler, but it's almost over. Emma Stone, from day one, it's looked like she was going to win this. I do believe it's her best performance ever, and I'm a La La Land fanatic, but she, I'm happy she's winning. I'll say that much. Even though Gladstone was absolutely freaking spectacular, it does look like this puts her in first place. Congratulations to Emma Stone for winning the BAFTA. It really is a big deal, man. I thought Hewler could pull it off. Adapted screenplay, it's really tough because we've got The Zone of Interest, a movie I thought the BAFTAs would love more than it actually did. Oppenheimer, front runner for Best Picture. Okay, it's going to get director. Probably won't get this. But look at how well Poor Things has done at the BAFTAs. It's going to get screenplay. Nope. American Fiction. American Fiction keeps winning this specific award. It hasn't won all of its opportunities at this specific award, but I do honestly believe, and for a while we were like, is it Barbie moving out of there, going back over here? You got Oppenheimer, you got Poor Things. It's a tough competition here, even tougher with the Oscars. It's starting to look like American Fiction is going to win the Oscar for Best Adapted Screenplay. It really does, and that's a film already with the Academy that got so much love with its nominations. You got Sterling K. Brown in there. Not a lot of people expected. Jeffrey Wright for Best Actor. And the love for American Fiction has been so strong with the Academy. This bumps it up. I know I'm giving a lot of my predictions away for the Oscars, but hey, if you're watching this video, first of all, thanks. This is a huge deal. I thought Zone of Interest was going to win this. I thought if not Zone of Interest, Poor Things was going to win it. I still believe Oppenheimer, where it's a lock for director, doesn't have much of a chance for screenplay, even though it was a phenomenal screenplay. This bumps American Fiction up to the top. It's got a fantastic opportunity now. This award is still up in the air, but it's looking good for Cord Jefferson, man. And it first feature, too. Oh, my God. Here's where Anatomy of a Fall finally gets its due. And I thought it had a really good shot here. But at the same time, I'm like, man, you look at some of these other films, Past Lives, Is It Dead? Is It Dead in the Water for the Academy Awards? It's definitely not up there where it was. It is slowly sliding down. And if Celine Song was going to get it and give me some hope, I thought this may be its opportunity, but it's so hard to win when you've got Anatomy of a Fall there, and it makes a lot of sense that it won this award. When I look at the holdovers, this is genuinely the holdovers' one big opportunity to slide in and say, hey, we can win Best Picture if we take Best Screenplay, but nothing really tells me it's going to take it. At this point, just like American Fiction, Anatomy of a Fall over a Past Lives makes a lot of sense, so boding very well for the Oscars is a win like this. All right, we've talked about all these other movies. Austin, be quiet. Let's talk about the front runner once again. And I believe Nolan has had this one on lockdown for a while. It's his time. And I get it. That's a dumb narrative. Austin, it should just matter. All that matters is the movie. It doesn't matter if it's his time. It doesn't matter if Christopher Nolan's done all this other stuff. No, what matters is the movie. But here's the cool thing about Oppenheimer. The movie is masterful, but it's also Nolan's time. It's his time to win it, man. He's went too long as one of the best directors in the business without winning the award. Another just nail in the coffin for all these other wonderful directors. He won Best Director here. He's taken it. He's taken it no matter what. Animated film, this one is pretty big for The Boy and the Heron. It's pretty big. Now, I will say the Annies were yesterday. Spider-Verse cleaned, it just wrecked shop. It destroyed the competition. It did everything it needed to do to secure the Oscar. And then the next day, The Boy and the Heron wins the BAFTA. I still think I'm leaning Spider-Verse because the Annies are a big indicator of who's going to win the Oscar, but it's still a competition. I genuinely believe that. The Boy and the Heron, it's like the second or third major award, major precursor that it's won. So I can't set this in stone like I have some of the others. It's a really big win for a really good movie. I prefer Spider-Verse. I still believe that's going to win. But okay, let's see what happens. Documentary, won't spend a ton of time on this. It's massive win for 20 Days in Maripol because it got an Oscar nomination. And who's the front runner there? I have no clue. I never know anything about documentary, but I know this one and it's got an Oscar nom, so I'm going to say that's the front runner. I genuinely have no clue. Film not in an English language. Okay. I thought Anatomy of a Fall would kind of crush it here. No, didn't really crush it here. Thought Past Lives, great movie, Past Lives, love it. Society of the Snow is also in my top 15 movies of last year. It's amazing. No, it's the Zone of Interest. Zone of Interest, yeah. Definite front runner in this category at this point for the Oscars. I didn't think it would win this award. I thought for sure they would go Anatomy of a Fall. So that was kind of like, it's almost eye-opening to me. I'm like, okay, well, they love Zone of Interest. That movie's surging right now. And same thing for Outstanding British Film. Zone of Interest wins over Poor Things. Again, I would have said Poor Things 9 times out of 10 because of how big of an Oscar, I thought it had a really good shot. But now I'm like, I don't know. Why didn't Poor Things win? And they're voting British film. So I'm like, Poor Things had an even better shot. But Zone of Interest won. Does Zone of Interest have a better chance of winning Best Picture than Poor Things? I think it does. I really do. And, neither of them are winning. But still. Then finally, Best Film. Oppenheimer. Yep. What else is there to say? I mean, look, what do you want me to say? I have no clue what's going to happen. I don't. But I believe I know that Oppenheimer's winning Best Picture because that's what it looks like. Is winning the BAFTA like the ultimate indicator that no, but Oppenheimer is cleaning house with these Best Picture, Best Film wins. I mean, only a handful of the time this season has it went to a different film, but there's no clear number 2 right now. I think if things would have went in a certain direction at this ceremony, I would have been like, all right, well, Poor Things is number 2. All right, well, Zone of Interest is number 2. That could, that's looking better than Poor Things right now. Holdovers, which was my number 2, it hasn't really done it other than the acting wins. And even then, you got Cillian Murphy, who's surging over Giamatti. So who's the clear number? And that's a question I pose to you all right now. Because we're going to talk more about this week, and then maybe next week, on if someone takes down Oppenheimer right now at the Academy Awards on March 10th, who's it going to be? Because I just don't see a film that is far and away above the rest of the competition. And you know who that bodes well for? Nolan and the gang. Because there's no clear number 2. Now, we'll see. With PGA and some of these other, we have yet to see all of the winners at all of the ceremonies. So, the Oppenheimer is still technically vulnerable. The thing about the BAFTA Best Picture winner is it doesn't align with the Oscar winner as often as it would seem, but it's great that Oppenheimer got a lot of these wins here. It's also great that there's no, like I keep saying, there's no clear number 2. So it's like things are, working in Oppenheimer's favor over here, but at the same time, it doesn't really matter because nobody else is surging ahead. Now, PGA and SAG, that is the final few opportunities for other films to come out and say, hey, this is it. We are this year's Coda. And we're going to take down the behemoth that is, in 2024, Oppenheimer. So, we'll see. But right now, at this moment in time, nobody's doing it.
Boring.
Frankly, everyone else stinks. That's my thoughts. That's not true. But Oppenheimer's going to win it. Let me know your thoughts on this year's BAFTA winners. Were you surprised and shocked? I think it was a little more surprising than maybe I expected when you look at screenplay and something as simple as a production design and things like that. They went in different directions than I anticipated. But again, you have one movie that is surging ahead of the competition and other movies that are surging in certain categories, but nothing is really standing out as number 2, and that is only good for one cast and crew. So again, need your thoughts down below. Thanks so much for watching. Dropping a like would be awesome, and coming back for more this week, Dune Part 2. I said it. It's happening. See you soon.